Okay, so I'd like to start this discussion on talking about mnemonic device, and I'm going to show you about 5 other principles that correlate well with mnemonic device. And I'm going to take you through my own logo design for my printmaking shop in order to talk about these things. So let's quickly talk about mnemonic device. Mnemonic device can utilize several principles within its own within that term. You can talk about first letter. So with mnemonic device, we would look to the first letter of whatever logo or memory device that you're creating. Let's say a famous, let's look at a famous mnemonic device that most people know, which is Roy G. Biv. So Roy G. Biv, oops, is a mnemonic device for remembering the colors of the rainbow. So we have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So Roy G. Biv is utilizing a mnemonic device to create a memorable sequence of information, right? So let's get rid of that. Mnemonic device can also use a keyword for remembering that particular group of letters or words. Rhyme is really important in terms of mnemonic device. If you use similar letters, so if your name is Sarah and you talk about storytelling, the S and the S make you remember those two words together better. Or if we rhyme. So if we have mat and hat, that's also more memorable because you're relating and correlating the two words together. So these devices are about helping you remember. We also can consider a feature name. A word that is related to one or more features of something is linked to a familiar bridging image to aid in recall. For example, the rounded shape of Volkswagen Beetle is a key feature of its biological namesake, which serves as the bridging image. So there's many ways that you can go at mnemonic device, and logos do this a lot. I would also like you to look at this list when you start thinking about your mnemonic device, because we are really utilizing picture superiority. Images are going to be more memorable than words. Recognition over recall. Recognition over recall says that if you have an image and a list of letters, right, like Roy G. Biv, putting those letters down is a recognition capability. You recognize that I have just given you the letters to the rainbow. So then your recall of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet is easier because recognition is much easier for your audience than recall. Now recall would be if I asked you what are the colors of the rainbow. And without that Roy G. Biv in front of you, recall is harder. So that's why mnemonic device is so helpful. We can talk about shaping, look up shaping, stickiness, and of course storytelling is going to come up over and over again in design. I would actually argue that almost every principle of design can be linked back to storytelling. We are storytellers at heart. This is the oldest principle, I would say. It predates the written word, so oral histories and methods of storytelling are ways that we as human beings have helped us learn and remember over time. So before we had the written word, rhyming, using similar sounding letters, or bridging imagery is how we actually retained information as human beings for millennia. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at a logo in relationship to mnemonic device. Okay, so my husband and I bought a building downtown Cincinnati, and we gutted it. It used to look like this. And we turned it into our printmaking studio, now called Fuse Press. We are both artists, professors, and printmakers, and what we're holding here are these tools that we use in printmaking, and it comes back into our logo design. This is a litho roller, and the litho roller is a common tool for printmakers. It's used for inking up relief blocks, plates, things that we send through the press to create images. So any printmaker would be very familiar with this archetypal form. So this form has been introduced and made part of our logo. We also are referencing in our logo the fuse symbol. So a fuse is actually an object, is in particularly found in old buildings like the building we bought and rehabbed. Fuses were there in electrical boxes, and they help to stop issues from happening in electrical. But we like this reference because the symbol itself referenced an old type of tradition or old building. So it's very much referencing the old building we bought, but it's also referencing an old tradition. So printmaking predates digital printing terms. So we like this sort of reference it's making. So we've incorporated the symbol because it looks like a roller, and it is a fuse symbol. So there's a lot of density in that image. Here is the first element of our logo design. We used black and white on purpose because of the tendency for printmakers to rely on black ink on white paper. So we're referencing that tradition. We're referencing the fuse symbol, which is also the name of the studio. And we're also referencing an ink roller. So we're trying to tell our story in many ways. A small and interesting fact too is that the building that we bought is a very long, narrow shotgun. They're called shotguns, single shotguns. And this long, narrow rectangle also references the physicality of our building. Next we get to the letters. So we have the F and the E tie into the actual design of the roller slash fuse. So the central bar connects to the F and the E. And then in the center, you have us. So my husband and I thought it would be a clever way to put the two of us together in the middle of our logo. Our printmaking studio is something that we share. We both are artists and we both work in it, but we also invite other artists to come together and create new works as a collaboration. So Fuse has several meanings in this way. It talks about the two of us coming together, but it also talks about our desire to open our studio up to others. So in that way, this logo has a lot of meaning, and it helps the viewer remember these things, sometimes not consciously, but they subconsciously come away with a lot. And that's how Mnemonic Device can help a logo design.